The Seattle Storm thought they could bully Caitlin Clark again. They were dead wrong. After that disgraceful body check from Skylar Diggins back in August 2024, their last meeting of last year's season, the Fever had unfinished business in their first game against each other of the 2025 season. But here's what nobody saw coming. When Clark struggled with just 6 points on her worst shooting night of the season, her teammates stepped up like absolute warriors. So how did Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell make history while destroying the Seattle Storm bullies at the same time? We'll break it down in this video. This wasn't just a win. This was pure revenge. Picture this. August 18th, 2024, and Caitlin Clark is about to face one of the most controversial moments of her rookie season. The Fever walked into that game against Seattle with hopes high. Clark was on fire, trying to make double-digit assists in 3 straight games. Lexi Hull was having a career night. The Fever was blowing out the Storm in their own gym. Nobody saw what was coming next. Then it happened. Skylar Diggins made that body check on Clark that had fans absolutely furious. Clark was trying to engage the home crowd in the closing minutes when Diggins, walking off the court, made contact with her. The replay showed exactly what happened. Social media exploded with outrage over what looked like intentional targeting. Here's how crazy the reaction was. Dave Portnoy's post about the incident got over 250,000 views in just the first 20 minutes. That's how fast this thing spread. Fans were divided, but most people saw exactly what this was. Clark handled it with class, but you could see the frustration building in her teammates' faces. The Storm players acted like nothing happened. They just walked away like they didn't just body check the league's biggest star. That made it even worse for Fever fans watching at home. Some people thought the Storm were trying to prevent Clark from getting that assist record. The whole game felt emotional after that moment. That game became a turning point. Not just for Clark, but for how the entire league viewed the Storm's tactics. The incident created a narrative that the Storm were bullies picking on the league's brightest young star. Fans started seeing Seattle as the team that targeted rookies. The perception stuck because of how obvious the contact looked and how the Storm reacted afterward. This league doesn't know what to do with Caitlin Clark. They don't know what to do with the Indiana Fever. It's not just her, Aaliyah Boston, Mitchell, Hull. This team is coming together and Caitlin Clark is loving. She's laughing at you, Skylar. Imagine that, you bumper. And then you have the audacity to complain about them? Just play ball. You didn't hear Indiana crying when they started off 1-9. They just got up off the mat, so that's assault. What nobody knew was that this moment would fuel the Fever's fire for almost a full year. Clark remembered. Her teammates remembered. The coaching staff remembered. They were waiting for their chance to show Seattle that those tactics wouldn't work anymore. The Fever had grown up since that August night. Fast forward to June 24th, 2025, and the Fever finally had their shot at revenge. This time, they were ready to fight back. Here's what makes this revenge game even more incredible. Caitlin Clark picked the worst possible night to have her worst shooting performance of the season. Clark came into this game shooting lights out all season, but something was off from the very first shot. You could see it in her mechanics. The shots weren't even close. She went 3 of 13 from the field and missed all 6 of her 3-point attempts. Those are numbers that would normally spell disaster for Indiana. Clark had been averaging 19.8 points per game before this 3-game West Coast road trip. Now she was sitting at just 6 points with minutes left in the fourth quarter. Her season-low scoring output couldn't have come at a worse time. The Seattle crowd was getting louder with every missed shot. They thought they had Clark rattled just like last year. You could hear them getting excited every time she pulled up for 3, and it clanked off the rim. They were trying to get in her head the same way they did during that August nightmare. But here's where the story gets beautiful. While Clark struggled, her teammates were quietly preparing to make history. This wasn't the same Fever team that got pushed around last season. These players had been watching Clark carry the load all year. Now it was their turn to step up when she needed them most. Aaliyah Boston started heating up in ways nobody had seen before. She was attacking the rim with a vengeance. Every drive looked more aggressive than the last. Boston wasn't just scoring, she was making statements with every basket. The Storm defense had no answer for her newfound aggression. Lexi Hull was crashing the boards like her life depended on it. She was grabbing rebounds over much taller Storm players. Hull was flying around the court, diving for loose balls, doing all the dirty work that doesn't show up in highlight reels but wins basketball games. Kelsey Mitchell began finding her rhythm from deep. She was hitting shots that would later make WNBA record books. Mitchell stepped into those big moments when the Fever needed scoring the most. Her confidence grew with every made three-pointer. Clark's worst night became the perfect stage for her teammates to prove this Fever team was built different than last year's squad. Instead of folding when their stars struggled, they rallied around her. They showed Seattle that the Fever weren't just about one player anymore. The real magic was just getting started as three unlikely heroes stepped into the spotlight. Boston, Hull, and Mitchell were about to have career nights that would change everything. What happened next was the kind of basketball magic that gives you chills. Three Fever players decided to have career nights on the same evening. Aaliyah Boston started attacking Seattle's defense with moves nobody knew she had. She was scoring from everywhere on the court. In the paint, from mid-range, even hitting shots from the perimeter. The Storm defenders couldn't figure out how to stop her. Every time they adjusted, Boston found a new way to score. She was making shots she'd never made before in her career. Boston finished with 31 points, a career high that left Storm defenders looking confused and frustrated. Her previous career best was 30 points against Atlanta back in September. But this felt different. This was Boston taking over a game when her team needed her most. She also grabbed 8 rebounds, dished out 3 assists, and recorded 2 steals. Boston was doing everything on both ends of the floor. Meanwhile, Lexi Hull was doing something she'd never done before. She was dominating the glass while scoring in double figures. Hull had never recorded a double-double in her entire WNBA career. But against Seattle, she wasn't backing down from anybody. Hull grabbed 11 rebounds for her first career double-double. That smashed her previous career high of 9 rebounds from last season against Minnesota. Hull was outworking Seattle's bigger players with pure hustle and determination. She was flying around the court, grabbing boards over players who had inches on her. Every loose ball seemed to end up in her hands. Her 15 points matched her aggressive rebounding performance perfectly. Hull was everywhere the Storm didn't want her to be. Mitchell working on McBagor to the other corner, and same result for Lexi Hull where she hit one just a moment ago from the opposite side. Almost another offensive rebounder by Boston, but Seattle has it. Ooh, there is a wolf right there, and it's stolen away. Clark up top. Lexi Hull pump fakes Cook and Stores. Then Kelsey Mitchell took over the game's final stretch. She was hitting 3-pointers that put her name in the WNBA record books. Mitchell finished with 26 points and knocked down 5 3-pointers. But here's the crazy part. This performance gave Mitchell her 14th career game with at least 25 points and 5 made threes. That moved her into sole possession of 5th place in WNBA history for most games like that. Mitchell was stepping up exactly when the Fever needed her most. While Clark struggled from the field, Mitchell was draining shots from everywhere. Her confidence grew with every made basket. 3 players having career nights in the same revenge game wasn't coincidence. This was destiny finally catching up to Seattle. The Storm had entered this game on a 3-game winning streak and the Fever on a 2-game losing streak, but they had no answer for this level of depth and determination from a Fever team that refused to be bullied again. Boston, Hull, and Mitchell showed Seattle that the Fever weren't just about one player anymore. They were a complete team ready to fight back. When that final buzzer sounded and the scoreboard read 94-86, you could feel the weight of 10 months of frustration finally lifting off the Fever's shoulders. The players were jumping up and down on the court. They were hugging each other like they'd just won the championship. This wasn't just any regular season game anymore. The post-game reactions told the whole story. This wasn't just about breaking a 2-game losing streak or improving to 7 wins and 7 losses on the season. The Fever had just lost to the Golden State Valkyries and the Las Vegas Aces on this tough West Coast road trip. Those losses stung because the team knew they were better than their record showed. But this win against Seattle felt different from the start. Yeah, I mean, we did. I think we had some hiccups and we had some breakdowns, but we played through them. And we played with multiple levels of effort on both ends of the floor. For the most part, made really good decisions, had each other's back. Highest level of consistent communication we probably had all year. And I felt like there was huge growth also from our team today, and I'm really proud. Coach Stephanie White praised her team's ability to recognize the hot hand and stay with what was working. She talked about how her players showed real growth from last year's squad that might have folded under pressure. When Clark was struggling with her shot, the team didn't panic. They trusted their teammates to step up. That's the mark of a mature basketball team. Just what a hell of a job. She was on balance all the time. She did such a good job of facilitating that I feel like sometimes she misses opportunities to be a scorer for us. And outside of one time, which she passed it out, which she had a guard on her, I thought she did a good job of making the right reads and the right play. She was efficient. She was hunting opportunities, and we were getting her the ball in a timely manner. And that's how so much of AB's efficiency is about us getting her the ball on time and on target, and I thought we did a better job today. This wasn't just another regular season win. This was the moment the Indiana Fever proved they're not the same team that got pushed around last year. Remember that August 18th game when Skylar Diggins made that body check on Clark? The Fever players remembered every single detail from that night. They'd been waiting almost a full year for this chance. You can see the pure joy and relief washing over every Fever player's face. Boston was smiling ear to ear after her career-high 31 points. Hull was celebrating her first career double-double with her teammates. Mitchell was soaking in the moment after her record-breaking performance. We've played a lot of games where we played 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and we end up torn up short because of that. And that's been our whole focus, is play a full 40 minutes, win every 5-minute increment that we can. And surely proud of our move. I feel like we've, hit some adversity along the way, and I think that's only pushing us closer and closer together. And I'm surely proud of how we stay with it. They were, going on there, but in the fourth quarter of trying to fight back. I feel like there's been time to re-separate in that moment. It's nice we just stayed together, and that just showed us the growth of our team and how our chemistry is getting better and we're trusting each other more, and I think we saw it on the fourth quarter. But here's what makes this victory even more meaningful. It represents something bigger than just a gutsy win. The Fever showed they could win without Clark having a great shooting night. That's huge for a team that was criticized for being too dependent on their star player. The celebrations in the locker room told the real story. Players were hugging and laughing like they'd just won a championship. You could hear the excitement in their voices. This felt like a turning point for the entire season. The team chemistry was obvious. With performances like these from Boston, Hull, and Mitchell, the 2025 season suddenly looks full of possibilities for this transformed team. The Fever proved they have the depth to compete with anybody. They showed Seattle that bullying tactics won't work anymore. This team fights back harder than ever. This game proved that when Caitlin Clark has an off night, this Fever team has the depth and heart to carry her. Something that would have been impossible last season. Kelsey Mitchell said it best after the game. This was the first time all season the Fever played a complete, competitive game for the full 40 minutes. The message sent to the rest of the WNBA was crystal clear. You can't bully the Fever anymore because they'll fight back harder than ever. As the Fever move forward, one thing is certain. They found their identity as a team that refuses to back down.